Welcome to America's Mayor Live with Rudy Giuliani and Ted, and Dr. Maria is going to be joining us in a short while. We're going to devote most of the show to discussing the map, meaning the electoral map, which I have right here in front of me here. Um, and but before we do, I get a couple of things out of the way, just things we want to tell you about. Bibi gave a great speech today at the UN. He made it very, very clear he's not backing off. And they made it very clear there are a bunch of crooks and scoundrels. They walked out, and they are. They all come from crooked countries that are dictatorships. I mean, he is the only democracy. He's the only democracy in the region. The only, we've got some allies there, but I mean, he's the only real ally of the United States, right? And we're treating him like, I mean, they're just slapping him around, Biden and Harris, but they're such weaklings. He doesn't pay any attention to them. I mean, what a job he's doing on Hezbollah. He's cleaning out the southern part of Lebanon, which is filled with Hezbollah murderers, killers, and terrorists funded by Iran. And then occasionally, it sounds like he's hitting Nasrallah. We'll find out by the end of the show. I guess he got him in Lebanon, but the guy is sort of the coordinator for Hezbollah with the Iranian dictatorship, the Iranian religious insane dictatorship. This guy was responsible for the Marine barracks murder way back during the Reagan administration. In other words, he's doing our dirty work for us because we have a wussy for a president. We have a silly man and a silly woman who wouldn't know how to strike back. Who knows what they don't know. I don't know. She would tell you, she's thinking about it, and she's come from the middle class, and who knows what else she would tell you. She has gone back to the scene of the crime. She's ridiculously late on a Friday afternoon when nobody's watching, gone down to the border. I think it's only her second time. The first time she hasn't been there in 3 years. 12, 13 million people have come in since the last time the border czar was there. That's more people that came into Ellis Island in 60 years. And she was put in charge of trying to stop it. I don't know. Now they say she was put in charge of the root causes. Well, she shouldn't do any good with the root causes because we've had the biggest invasion in the history of America. You can't even compare him to any other American president. Don't even bother trying to compare him to Trump. I mean, no matter who you think was the worst on immigration, he was 10 times worse than her. And I don't remember her being given any other responsibility, Ted. That was it. One responsibility we get to judge her on. We get to judge her competence to take over America at a very difficult time in world history and American history, where they're trying to make us into a communist country. We probably have the biggest bozo that's ever run for president. And when Trump says she's stupid, I mean, she did fail the bar exam. You're not making it up. I swear to God, there's something wrong with your intellect if you can't figure out she's stupid. There's something seriously wrong with your intellect if you cannot figure out that she is a dumb person. The statements are ridiculous. We'll later on play an example of her and Biden totally falling apart together. Biden the other day forgot that he was in New York and welcomed all of the world leaders. I mean, this has to be really embarrassing. He welcomed all of the world leaders to Washington in New York. And he had just come through the city streets. Pretty distinctive city. I mean, pretty hard to confuse it, right? Not if you're stupid and demented. Can you imagine what the world leaders thought? Welcome to New York, to Washington, D.C. Okay, thank you. Trump immediately attacked her on the border, as he should. And He's off in Michigan getting ready for a rally, which we're going to show you some of. He's really zoning in on the key states, isn't he, Ted? He seems to be constantly in Michigan, Michigan and Pennsylvania, not counting out North Carolina and a couple of the others. Um, an indictment today was filed in which they reluctantly finally revealed that the Iranians are stealing, or were stealing, and are stealing information from the Trump campaign and giving it to the White House. The White House is not using it, but they're taking it. You see, that's the crime, ladies and gentlemen, the taking of it. When they made up the Russian collusion thing, which was a hoax, right? The criminal basis for it was that it was an illegal campaign contribution because they're getting the benefit of information which has monetary value. That's a big dispute among scholars. Half say no, it's not a crime. Half from the very beginning said they were investigating him to the tune of 50, 60, 70 million dollars and tried to remove him from office based on a complete non-crime. They also, it turned out they were doing it based on a complete fiction paid for by Hillary Clinton, which was well known to Harris and well known to Biden and well known to Obama. They just kept repeating the lie of Russian collusion. Well, sorry, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, except in our new fascist America. I mean, Zelensky just did that. Zelensky came over theoretically to talk to the UN, but most importantly to get his big bucks out of Biden, and he worked for the Democratic Party. First thing he did is attack Vance, call him a radical, and go into detail about that. Then he got a free trip to the press conference in Pennsylvania, which was Democrats only, the Democrat candidate for the Senate, Democrat candidate for the House, and the governor who signed a missile. Signed a missile? Might as well sign a bullet. That only kills one person. Shapiro, I mean, this Shapiro guy, wow, is he overrated? And then we, of course, have the whole Adams situation, which is when you read the indictment, it really a lot of people read the indictment and say, "Oh, there's so much there." I want you to read Jonathan Turley's article in the Post, who says there's a lot less there than meets the eye. Now, I've written indictments, and I know what a speaking indictment is. I don't think I invented it. Someone once wrote that I invented it. I did pretty much invent RICO prosecutions, but I don't think I invented speaking indictments. Seems to me I borrowed forms, but in any event, a speaking indictment means it goes into great detail about the crime. Well, this did, but when you got all finished, it added up to 123,000. I mean, Biden got 20 million at least from China, probably 30 or 40. He got 3.5 million from Russia. He got 8 or 9 million from the crookedest guy in Ukraine. And we go on and on and on, right? And Adams didn't get any money. Biden got money. I know you don't know that because they cover it up. But in the hard drive is in Hunter's own words, are his definitive statement that over 30 years he gave half his income to his father. And what was his income for? His income was to help China get a hell of a lot of information about us. And then, of course, just giving up the background base that China now operates was worth at least 10 of the 20 million that Joe got. The connections with that the connections they use for bribery for Adams are a lot more tenuous than that. So you can't tell me they're prosecuting him on some kind of a equal standard. They're prosecuting him because he complained about he was the most vocal mayor against him. Most mayors are frightened to do anything, and he got two more to help him. He got two more to help him, two more mayors, and when that happened, they raided his finance chairman, and then it all started. And Trump's statement today that back a year ago, when he started really criticizing Biden, he said that in a year he'll be indicted. Well, it's true. We all said it. Ted and I did too. So the guy's going down. What these people? These people are, and then nobody wants to recognize. Nobody wants to say it. They operate like communists and fascists, and they don't operate like Americans. Garland's not an American. He's some excuse for an American. I'll give you another example. Right in New York, easier. If they want to investigate a big crime, why don't they investigate Hochul, who kisses their backside all the time? Real simple to explain. When she was running, remember, she was put in to replace Cuomo, who went out on a scandal, right? So the last two Democrat governors of New York had to quit on scandals. So, I'm wondering if they'll ever really go after her because they could probably get her out. Let's use one. It's the easiest one to illustrate. She bought for New York an unnecessary COVID test when COVID was basically over. She bought an equal amount with California. She spent 600 million plus on it of New York money. California spent 310 on it. And half of that ends up in a campaign contribution to her PAC. I mean, she produced through a no bid dramatic inflation of the cost of the test, the kickback. And getting a campaign contribution is the same as getting money. It's straight out and out bribery. They didn't even bother to investigate it or subpoena or anything. I bet if she had shown up at the White House saying, with Adams, what the hell are you doing, Mr. President? You're ruining New York. She'd be under indictment. And hers would be easy. It's right there, direct. This stuff is like penny ante upgrades of tickets when you got a president who sold us out to China. You got an attorney general who's fixed the Hunter Biden case so that his silly little tax case involves none of the money that went to Biden, to his father. That's pretty hard because almost all of it did. But these are ones that at least there's no direct proof. There is the general proof that could be used if you want to, but they're never going to touch that. So they overlook bribery over and over again for Democrats. They go after Republicans for crimes they make up, like me and Professor Eastland and just so many others. They make up the crimes that nobody ever heard of before, like being indicted because you're advocating for your client and they don't like what you're saying. They've decided, this whole disinformation thing is a complete Orwellian communist trick. I mean, they get to define what's disinformation, and if you say it, it's a crime. I mean, pretty soon it'll be if you say that Kamala Harris is stupid, it's a crime. You have to go to jail, even though she failed the bar exam. I don't know why I keep repeating that. Just because it is so ridiculous that this woman is running for president. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to start taking a look at the election, and then we're going to have Dick Morris with us. I'll have Dr. Maria, and we'll all be joining in what we think is going to happen in now 30, I think it's 38 days, 37 days, right? Well, we'll take a short break. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
No.
This is Rudy Giuliani, and I am with you with Dr. Maria, and we're going to begin discussing the election. Maybe I should first give you a little bit of information about it, and of things that happened today. There was a poll that came out in Arizona, and in the poll, Trump has taken a a much more substantial lead than we've seen in quite some time for either of them. He's got a 6-point lead in Arizona.
Yeah.
46 to 42. The margin of error is 4.4. So this is beyond the margin of error. Almost all the others that we look at, whether he's ahead or she's ahead, are within the margin of error.
Yeah. This was a promising poll.
And this is
realistic of what you feel out there.
Yeah, it is hard to believe. I mean, we rely heavily on the common sense of the American people, right?
Sure.
And you listen to her, and you realize that an intelligent person would immediately say, she keeps repeating the same words, she keeps saying the same thing, she talks in this illogical. What's the first thing you're going to do in the White House? I'm going to raise. We're going to help middle class people because I'm a middle class person, and I come from the middle class, and we're going to teach people to inspire in order to inspire. Whoa.
Yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors. She never gives a real answer and any answer with depth of what she's going to do. Now, shockingly, Mayor, I pointed out to you the other day, Biden reappeared. He was on The View and did a few other things, and he said something so shocking. He said basically he's given over the presidency to Kamala Harris.
He referred to her as the boss yesterday.
He can't do that. That's the will of the people. He can't just say, I anoint you president. But if that's the case, and these are her decisions, she likes to brag she was the last person in the room with the terrible, terrible withdrawal from Afghanistan and other decisions. She's taking credit for them. She doesn't even get it that the people are hurting, that people can't pay their rents. She is so oblivious to what the average American is going through. And she created this border crisis. She is, to this day, the borders are. And ICE is saying 662,000 illegals who have come into our country have criminal records. And they're out there. They're not in our
She's at the
jails.
border right now.
Yeah, she's at the border. By the way, at a very safe town. She's not at Eagle Pass. She's at a very safe place.
So she's at the place where she's 6 points behind.
Yeah. and she was invited by a Democrat. Some of the border people weren't even invited because they'll have a different story.
Well, they're
They'll
all
have a
supporting
different
Trump.
narrative. Even regardless of that, they will get out facts to the American people. Who follows her really down there? Probably MSNBC, CBS, I don't know, ABC,
Rachel Maddow,
Rachel
Rachel
Madcow.
Maddow.
Well, if you have border agents saying all the illegals who have come in, the criminal records, the fentanyl poisonings, the sex trafficking, that's going to go against Harris's narrative saying, remember when she came out and said we have a safe border?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And little Mayorkas used to do it all the time also.
Oh, yeah.
And Biden.
They lie because they think we're stupid.
You know, she only, I think, as far as I can tell, you people correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be wrong about this. She's only been to the border one other time. It was back
Another safe place.
It was 3
too.
years ago. She went to El Paso.
Yeah.
She never even got to the border, I would
Right.
say.
Right.
And she went there 3 years ago. That's because she was embarrassed into it because she had an interview with Lester Holt.
Oh, yes.
And he said, you know, why haven't she? And she kind of lied at first and said, well, we've been to the border. We've been to the border. He said, but have you been to the border?
And she
And she said,
I haven't
"No,
been to Europe.
I haven't been to Europe either, which is another reason she shouldn't be vice president or president. What do you mean I've never been to Europe? And that, no wonder she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. But she's a scatterbrain jerk. No wonder she failed the bar exam. Well,
You know, a lot of people tell me about these polls because, quite frankly, I've been perplexed that she's doing so well in certain polls.
you go, just
Asking people about it. I don't get it. We're not that stupid. Well, a lot of conservatives don't answer the phone for polls. They don't get involved because they don't want to be oppressed. They don't want to put it out there, their views, because they're afraid they'll lose their job. And I don't blame them. We've seen, I've seen you get lawfare against you, a corrupt New York and Washington Bar Association. Shame on them. They should disbar themselves. Really, it's sickening. You have, well, I could go on and on.
Both of them are the product of a political activist writing a letter complaining about me. For example, the one in D.C. is based on the case in Pennsylvania, and nobody in the case complained about me.
No, I think just the opposite, right? New York was about the case in
No,
Pennsylvania.
no.
Okay.
Pennsylvania was, I mean, Washington, D.C. was the case in Pennsylvania, and New York has the missing 3 hours from Georgia.
Yeah, they defrauded you.
Which has all of the incriminating information on it.
Well, can they investigate themselves?
No,
Because
it's not. I mean, they're all product. I mean, Adams and the scandal, and this is New York. New York has been corrupt for 170 years.
Yeah.
And the
but
judiciary,
it's not right.
Judiciary is totally corrupt. If the politicians are corrupt, the Democratic, then the judiciary is corrupt because the politicians appoint the judiciary. We make believe they're elected. But a Democratic nomination in most of New York City, except Staten Island, is an appointment. To such an extent that Moron, whose case was on appeal today, who can't figure out the value of Mar-a-Lago, was elected 3 times. Very impressive. Except like in the Soviet Union, he had no opponent.
Right, right.
Because New York
City was appointed, basically.
City is like a Soviet Union.
Yeah.
It's a one-party dictatorship.
So sad.
In New York.
Yeah.
And with Hochul Pochul whose impropriety in terms of contracting is 50 times the amount of money that she got than anything they're charging against Adams. But she's been loyal. She sucked up to them completely and is helping to cover up their ruining of New York.
We have a president who at minimum took 30 million from China, and he's corrupt and he's getting away with it. Whatever happened to the impeachment? Yes, he's senile, he's got dementia, but a right is right. I've never agreed with President Trump's DOJ. It's not really President Trump's DOJ. The DOJ should have prosecuted Hillary Clinton for destroying government property. She had her assistant literally bleach her electronics so they couldn't see what she
No,
was up to.
I recommended her being prosecuted.
She should
Like,
be.
and I even
And I shouldn't say Trump's DOJ because there's supposed to be a separation of powers.
honestly, Trump made the decision, and Trump made a decision that you could see. It's a lot of decisions.
I know I'm not good with political decisions. I guess.
No, there was wisdom to the decision. The wisdom was to preserve our tradition of not going after our political opponents, because even if it's justified, it could look like it wasn't.
I know.
And
But this is what frustrates people,
but of course, they broke that tradition.
average people like me, who say we're held to a standard. Definitely elected officials should be, or people running for the presidency. And Hillary, what about the $1 million, her and the DNC, for the fake dossier? That's a coup. That's against our democracy. Don't you see what's happening, people? They are projecting what they do onto others, Trump supporters, Trump, when it's actually they have to look from within. We have documented proof, evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt that they tried to take out a duly elected president with a fake Russian collusion hoax. And then they tried to do a second one.
Yeah, and the basis for it was foreign interference in the election and the foreign interference of the campaign contribution. It's exactly what Zelensky just did.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly what Zelensky did.
How about, are you upset about the 8 billion more going to Ukraine that Biden just
With
talked
no,
about?
with no accountability.
No accountability. That guy's a crook, I'm telling you. We're paying for the pensions of Ukrainians. They're buying yachts down in Palm Beach.
Oh, no. We can be very comfortable, says McConnell,
Oh, really?
whose connection to China has never been investigated.
Yeah.
And McConnell said, I think he said, I couldn't make out exactly what he was saying. He said, "Oh, we can be sure that
I think he's got scleroderma.
we should be sure that it's going to the American military-industrial complex."
You know what I like?
Do you know? Can I just explain something?
Yeah.
Eisenhower warned us about this in 1960. You want to get a little closer in time? The whole Foreign Corrupt Practices Act is written in large part because of the corruption of the defense industry, and they're bribing people all over the world. So you want me, who happens to understand this? It's like you're telling me that there really are bribes, McConnell. I'm supposed to feel comfortable that it's going to a group of people that do bribery for a living?
I don't feel comfortable with that. You know what?
Really crooked wars, even the necessary ones. Civil War, the First and Second World War. You got an awful lot of crooked profiteers in the war.
Always.
Wars produce unaccountable amounts of money because, like this, he's refusing any accounting of it. They tried, and I don't know why the Republicans passed
This
it.
is what pisses us conservatives off.
The Republicans insisted there be accounting. He said no, and it was no.
Yeah.
So when we already gave them 150 to 200 billion. We don't know what happened to it. There's no place to go look to see how much of it really went into the war they're not winning, and how much of it went into their pockets.
Yeah.
And it's the crookedest country, or second crookedest country in the world. At least it was. And he's done nothing to. He is the product of one of the crookedest men in Ukraine, the money launderer, Kolomoisky, is the guy who made him a millionaire. So, I mean, please don't be naive. They build him up like he's some kind of a great hero. I mean, they put him in like they try to make him look like he's covering up Biden's crimes, a lot of other politicians, and he's covering up crimes at the highest level of his government, bribes to his people that sold out the Ukrainian people that are astounding amounts of money that he could go get and pay for the damn war. And we're thinking about letting him get us into a world war. My goodness, if the Ukrainian people had a real leader, well, first of all, I don't think Putin would have invaded. Putin knows who he is. Putin knows he's a little product of Kolomoisky, a little pisher who's a product of Kolomoisky.
In my country, number one,
and attacking Vance.
Attacking Vance. Give me a break. What leader would leave their country at war? Right? Do you see Netanyahu going around around the world. He had to come to the UN. I understand that.
You know how
But
much he's got from us?
yeah,
10 billion.
that and they slow walked it. The Democrats slow.
I'm not even sure he's gotten all of it.
But Netanyahu, I love that man. I want a president like Netanyahu fighting for his people. Never forget what happened on October 7th. And I am so glad he took out that control center in Hezbollah. And I hope he keeps fighting until they're all gone. Ugh.
If you want to, we're going to take a short break. But what I
I
want to
think
do,
you have a guest coming
we
on,
do,
don't you?
But I want to show them the map before.
Well, thank you for having me on.
No, you're going to stay on.
Oh, I'm going to say,
We
you
want
have a guest coming on?
Yes, but we want everybody. I want you to hear it, and then we
Okay.
want to go through what you think are going to happen with the states, because here's the map that we have right now, and this gives me a chance to play with it. I love to do this, as you know, right?
Yeah, please put New Hampshire red up there.
Well,
please.
They have it blue. They have it blue.
My people, please be smart.
So now let's see. Let me get it adjusted so that we can have a proper conversation with Dick Morris, and then we can have a proper conversation. We'll go out to the West Coast. You see, Washington, Oregon, California, that seems right. We'll leave Nevada. I don't know. In the face of the 6-point lead in a poll, I think you got to
Arizona.
You got to make Arizona leaning Republican.
Leaning, yeah. So it's a pink.
Yeah. The rest of them, Utah, that whole group of red.
How Theodore feels about Michigan. What's green mean?
Michigan is up for grabs. That's what it means.
That's what it means. Okay.
Zooming out here. So now you'll see that we've got Arizona leaning, Nevada neutral, Texas leaning Republican. Iowa is not just leaning Republican, it is Republican. So we'll change that to get ready for Dick. The ones up for grabs.
I'm a little kid. He said Dick.
Dick Morris.
I know. I'm being terribly childish.
Dick Morris at 9 tonight. Yeah.
Oh, then we'll have our own game now.
Okay. I'm sorry, man.
Well, then we'll ask him if he thinks we're right, because we'll come. I want to come up with what you guys think for the benefit of our audience. So here
we should probably go through the colors, because I don't know if they see the green as good as we do.
Let me give you all the colors so the audience understands.
Gray.
It's up on the screen.
Okay.
So anything dark red or dark blue is definitely for that party. So the reds are definitely Republican, and the blues, the dark blues, royal blues, are a Democrat. The light blues and the light reds or pinks, right, are leaning Republican, Democrat. The final number up there puts together the definite and the leaning. Okay.
Oh, they have South Carolina leaning.
Yes.
Now tell me.
And North Carolina, they have North Carolina
up in the air.
Up in the air, which is
who comes up with this?
Well, these are based on all the polls.
Okay.
So they look at all the polls and they try to come up with a consensus of all of them. Of course, some polls are better than others. So looking at all the polls doesn't help you. So there is a certain amount of subjectivity in this.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is,
so what
do we want to make any other state up for grabs before we
up for grabs? Well, I have a question about California.
The ones that have no color, that have that
yeah, but can I ask you a question?
That, Ted? What would you call that color? The undecided color. Brown, light brown? Yeah, gray. Let's call it gray.
I see
neutral. Those are the neutral states.
Yeah, it does show gray on.
I think you would like to add New Hampshire to that.
Yeah.
As neutral.
Ask about California. That should be dark blue, right?
That's a mistake.
Or blue. Yeah, that's very blue. There we go. Okay. That makes sense. I wish it wasn't that way.
And I think Florida is dark red.
Yeah.
I don't see. We'll keep it that way. And so now, I want to ask everybody. We'll go into the states here. The first one, if we
have a microphone, Mike? Mike.
The first one to look at is Nevada. Do we think we should leave it undecided, or should we have it leaning one way or the other? Anybody have a feeling for that? You feel because of the unions, Ted, speak for yourself now.
In the type of union, service employee unions, I'm thinking, is that Clark County?
Mhm.
Is that
Yeah.
where Las Vegas is?
Yeah.
Now, it's different this year with the Teamsters and some of these unions, but I just think the way they do ballot harvesting, both the accepted ballot harvesting and the illegal ballot harvesting, we know that they're doing. Yeah, I'd put that
More up in the air.
lean blue.
Oh, leaning blue.
Really?
Yeah.
And what about you, Maria?
I was thinking up in the air.
Yeah, I was thinking it's go Republican.
Oh, 3 different answers.
Yeah. So let's leave it the way it is because we don't have a consensus on it, right?
Okay, we'll see what Dick
I
said.
mean,
He's not coming on till
keep track of what all.
Yeah.
I'll keep down a sheet here. Okay.
okay.
Well, I can also look back and watch.
yeah.
Arizona.
Arizona, we're taking Arizona.
Arizona, I will still leave it leaning because that poll is one poll. He was ahead by 1 or 2 in the others.
Yeah.
If he has another poll beyond the margin of error, then we'll make it definite Republican. I think New Mexico is leaning Dem. I think that's correct. And
Yeah.
Colorado is definitely
Which is too bad for
Dem
New
with
Mexico.
Feliz Navidad as the governor, right?
Yes, they must.
Well, anybody that votes for Feliz Navidad as the governor, are they going to vote for Trump?
Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
I mean, I know my state isn't so good.
Right,
Hopefully, it's as big of a jackass as he is. But I mean, he even makes a jackass out of himself. And of course, it isn't just limited to him being a clown. The people are getting killed in his state like crazy. Denver per capita has the most illegals. It's a sanctuary state, a sanctuary city. They give them money, they give them welfare, they give them education, they give them health care. They take care of them better than their own citizens. And what they've done is, and the Denver mayor is a left-wing jackass just like him, but they've gone over to Aurora, as you know,
Yeah.
Colorado, which is not, and they've invaded the place and they're taking it over. When that was first brought out by Trump and us, we were all attacked, like
Yeah.
we were attacked for Springfield. And now they're showing the number of crimes. It's gone back a year. They've been hiding it for a year, and Aurora is going to join 6 other counties in Colorado who are suing the governor for his sanctuary city policy, saying that his policies are illegal and that they're destroying them. They are illegal. Sanctuary city, the way they practice it, is completely illegal. They're violating federal law. They have no right to violate federal law.
I agree with you.
Well, that will stay that way. Nebraska is a very interesting story. See that one little vote in
What does
Nebraska?
that mean?
Okay. Nebraska and Maine.
Oh, they can split an electoral.
Split them up.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, in order to change that, needs a 2/3 vote of the legislature. Republicans have 2/3 of the legislature. One Republican stopped them, and he will deprive Trump of one vote that could mean the election.
Wow.
Now, he did it as a matter of principle. What the hell is the principle when earlier this year, Democrats just took Trump off the ballot for no reason?
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking him off the ballot illegally. That's what was all reversed by the Supreme Court. They did it in Michigan. They did it in Maine. I mean, it's ridiculous. The Secretary of State says, Trump, you can't be on the ballot because you were involved in an insurrection. What insurrection? Well, the insurrection I read about in the New York Times.
And so we want you to be a part of the discussion. Comment below. We're now on Nebraska. We're looking at Nebraska's first congressional district specifically. And next, I guess we'll move on to Wisconsin. But
yeah, and
comment below and follow us along.
So one of the experts that we'll have on probably next week or the week after went through this with me and said that that's a very significant vote because it could come down to he showed me a way it could come down to Trump being at 269. And that one vote would have put him at 270 and he'd win. In fact, it creates a possible tie, which would go to Trump because it would go to, well, it's the new Congress if Republicans hold Congress.
Oh, God, I hope
The
so.
House, if they hold the House. So I would say the middle of the country where we
God
have.
bless you. I know they like to call you the flyover
North
state.
Dakota,
We
North
love the
Dakota,
flyover
right
states.
down to Texas. I don't know. We really have Texas leaning.
I was surprised at that.
What do
too.
you think, Ted? What do you think?
I think it's red.
All right.
It-
So I think we have a consensus on Texas. Let's make it all red. Okay. So it doesn't change the overall number, but it makes it a more secure. It's 230 to 222 Democrat, the way it's lined up right now. Minnesota, Walz, they're going to go with Comrade Walz, even though he's a Chinese, or at least he's not answering the questions that would give you any comfort that he isn't a Chinese operative.
And that's
The
the
30 trips to China don't bother the people of Minnesota. Were they
That's-
working for China?
that's the only state Mondale won, right?
Did
In 84?
Apparently, I don't think he really won it.
So like, what if if there's one state this year that goes blue, maybe it's Walz's. If it's not California, right?
So
California will go blue.
may I say, we travel a lot, right? With Frank's Speech, whatever we're doing, we travel a lot. Wherever we go, we talk to a lot of people. A lot of people express what I'm hearing everywhere about they want law and order, a smaller government. They don't want all these illegals coming in unvetted, blah, blah, blah. And I say, well, why do you vote? Like Minnesota's a good one. I said, why do you keep voting for a wackadoodle like Waltz? It's corruption. They believe strongly there's enough fraud in voting that these people keep getting in. And I'm telling you, that's just one example. I go to Chicago, I say the same thing. They're all complaining about their mayor. Why did you vote him in? You had a chance to change things when you got rid of Beetlejuice. And they say, sorry, they say, hey, the DNC, the Democrat machine is so big and powerful, and there's so much cheating, our vote doesn't matter. I hear that repeatedly. But I do want to make a comment about two states I know intimately. One, where I live, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, I have as a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. Now, there are two of our largest cities, Manchester, my home, and Nashua. They're the ones that tend to lean a little left. The entire rest of the state
Oh yeah, wow.
is red-blooded American, hardworking, common sense, practical people. You go up to the North Country in New Hampshire, all you see is Trump, 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 Trump. They are not afraid to put out their Trump posters. Same with Maine. I just went to Canada, and how I cross the border, I go through Maine. They have two big cities, Bangor and Portland. They lean left. The rest of that state, Trump, 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 everywhere, Trump, 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 all over their cars, flags everywhere, Trump, Trump, Trump. But the volume, and this is the thing about democracy versus a constitutional republic.
Which is what we are because of the electoral college.
Exactly. If we went with clearly democracy, all these heavily populated, our voices would be nothing.
Yeah,
Any of us
California and New
people.
York would
Yeah.
take care of it.
Yeah. That's why we got to fight to remain a constitutional republic.
I'm pretty sure we either win. I think we do win the popular vote. If you took out New York and California,
Yeah.
you win the popular vote.
Yeah.
Because they win New York and California by ridiculous margins. Now, I don't know if New York's going to be that way this time.
Well,
That
Long
margin.
Island is Trump country.
Oh my God.
They are radical Trump
That thing you saw-
country.
The thing that you saw.
I love it.
at
They're so
the-
passionate.
At the Nassau Coliseum. I mean, we were out there that weekend. That's for real.
Yeah.
That is very
And
much
they're
for real.
They feel very passionate that they're fighting for the soul of their country.
They feel
Because look at, we have a corrupt president right now. We have a wackadoodle vice president who doesn't know a thing, and they propped her up. It's all smoke and mirrors, and the stupid people are kind of falling in line with that. But the rest of us aren't. We see what's happening with the inflation, just printing money, print it, print it, print it. Who pays? We pay. They want to tax the big guy. Why don't you sit? We had a conversation today. Percent.
Well, 1% of
true.
the country
fact.
pays 50% of the taxes. 50% of the country just about pays no taxes.
Yep.
And we lose that 1%, then the middle class is going to have to pay a lot more.
Yep.
Also, that 1% are are the ones who produce our economy to a large extent. I don't know what the percentage would be, but they pull out and jobs go. That's how you create unemployment. That's how you create unemployment. When I took over as mayor of New York, we had a brain drain, we had a drain, and we had a wealth drain. And I was really afraid because we were in a cycle where we'd lose wealthy people because we were taxing them too much. Then we needed more money, so we tax even more.
Yep.
And we'd lose even more wealthy people.
Yep.
And then we tax even more. But we're going to get down to who's going to pay for the half the people that don't work.
Don't you think Adams is going to have to do that? There's so many people leaving because of his bad policies, and Hochul over the whole state's bad policies. We have a friend who says he is making so many trips. He's just moving people out of New York continuously, and it's been going on 2 or 3 years. Who's going to pay those taxes?
Here I am in Florida.
Yep.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Nice man, Giuliani.
It's a clip from the NASA.
I never saw.
But we're playing on silent right now, but this is the
You want to show it?
that's the crowd. Yeah.
No.
I'm just playing some B-roll if you guys.
Yeah. Show them the crowd.
So, no.
Yeah, well, I'll show you the full clip after the show.
Okay. Oh, there is our Rudy.
I got a modest reception.
Oh, modest, right? I heard even Trump commented, "Man, they love you," and they do.
Nice. I grew up for 8 years, just about 2 miles from that place. So it was actually a bit emotional for me to go back there. When I got up to speak, I felt like I was talking to my neighbors.
You know what? Dr. Maria hasn't seen it yet. We're going to play the full clip. Here we go.
All right, good. Well, you're a rock star, Mayor.
I don't know about
Giuliani.
that, but that was quite an experience. So now we have the middle of the country there. You want just everybody take a look at that. I think right in the middle. Let's do North Dakota, Minnesota, down to Texas and Louisiana. I think that's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go now to more of the Midwest, or that probably some of that's the Midwest anyway. Right at the top, I think the states you're looking at right now that are undecided, right? If we kind of do a semicircle, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, I think they decide the election, right?
Yeah.
That's where the election gets decided. I mean,
What's surprising is how much North Carolina has changed. Staunchly conservative in the past. And may I say, so isn't it Maine? So was it Maine at one time? It was Maine, New Hampshire, even Vermont in its history was conservative. Now we just say Vermont's socialist. But to see them change like that is kind of sad because the whole culture of, at least this is my opinion, being a New Hampshireite, being a free thinker. I may have some libertarian in me too, but we're very hardworking people, very practical solutions.
die.
Live free or die. There are worse evils than death. That was by our great General Stark. It's sad when they start going to the dark side, and certainly the Democrat Party.
Has become the dark.
It was an honorable party, just like the Republican was an honorable party, but it has become a party of hate, cheating, corruption. People don't even recognize it anymore. Oh boy, 4-year-old boy stabbed multiple times. I don't even want to.
I know.
Anyways,
so Ted, we gotta have you paying attention here now. I'm getting a gavel. I have one at home. I have a gavel.
Ted's like everything now.
I have a gavel. I have a gavel. The head of it is
Oh,
the head of it is this big. The gavel. It's like okay. Now,
Morris, I gotta do a lot of
yeah, he's
so
a
now,
one-man show here.
of the states that are out there, okay. So I have Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and New Hampshire. Which one, and I'll go to you first, Ed, which one do you feel most comfortable is going to go, if you do, if any of them, about calling? Which one would you say, this one I feel, I'm not sure, but I'm most comfortable this one will go to Trump or to Biden
North Carolina.
or the other idiot?
North Carolina.
Oh,
Okay. So I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm going to say, based on the polls,
Yeah.
not the history,
in the governor race,
Georgia. It's weird. Now, theoretically, he lost Georgia in the last election,
nobody believes that.
and he won North Carolina in the last election. So, I mean, North Carolina should be ahead of Georgia. There's actually a poll with her ahead by 1 point in North Carolina, and there are polls with him ahead by 3 or 4 in Georgia. I mean, more than just a little 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And I think with the healing of the problem with Kemp, you have a united Republican Party. I don't think they're going to, I think Burt Jones did a great job sealing up the election. He kicked off the election commission, the dishonest, crooked,
Raffensperger.
slimy Raffensperger, who might, who is the one who sent my tape to the bar, and they claim he sent it that way, which means he's the one who, I don't know who did it. I don't know if my prosecutor did it at the New York bar, which is New York bar is just a function of the crooked Democrat in New York. I mean, they've allowed a crooked judiciary forever and have never done anything about it. What kind of bar association sits by when political crooks appoint the judges, and the judges never have rendered a fair decision in a political case in the history of New York? I mean, they just screwed up. Redistricting. So you got that in New York. In Washington, it's the deep state bar. They're all taking sucking on the government tit. Excuse the expression.
Yeah.
All of them. I mean, they're all lobbyists and hate Trump, hate me. And if you ever saw the hearing, it was ridiculous. I mean, the judge in New York was
Texting, wasn't she?
she was watch. I mean,
be your lawyer.
she came from the Brooklyn machine. She originally became a judge from the Brooklyn machine. That's the same machine Adams came from.
And she wouldn't let you
get
have
my point?
witnesses or
Oh no, witnesses. God, I couldn't have witnesses. And she attacked all my witnesses. You know some of them, and they complained about the way they were treated. But in any event, that we'll work on that some other time. So I would say the one I feel the most comfortable about right this minute is Georgia and Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Pennsylvania. I hope. Pennsylvania. I worked in Pennsylvania. I was in a very large tertiary care hospital.
I think it was more Democrat then. I think.
No, they were conservative.
Yeah. A lot of Pennsylvania is conservative. It's
hardworking.
swing state.
And let's face it, the Republican Party is all about the hardworking person. It's all about the middle class.
And that's something President Trump was able to he was able to help transform.
So let's say I'm right about Georgia and Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Let's see what happens.
Oh, well.
He's 5 votes away.
5 away
from being president.
You're giving him Georgia and Pennsylvania?
Oh, you need to
if he wins Pennsylvania, he likely won North Carolina, right?
I didn't give him North Carolina.
So you think he could win Pennsylvania but lose North Carolina?
What's funny about North Carolina, their governor's race, right? The Democrats so far ahead.
Yeah.
I think they're 2 separate things. That's something I really would like to reserve decision on North Carolina and do some research on it. Let's talk to the head of the Republican National Committee, because
let's get Laura on, or Michael Watt.
Yeah, they're both from North Carolina.
And they're both from North Carolina.
And he pulled North Carolina out last time, which is one of the reasons I think Trump selected him. So Trump is really relying on him to bring North Carolina in. course, now the Republican gubernatorial candidate there is involved in this scandal. And there's another one you don't know what the hell the truth is, because it seems ridiculous, the things he's being charged with.
Is
He
he
says
literally being charged with something, or
Oh, no, it's a political charge.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
he's not. It's not like Adams.
I
Oh
didn't
my
think
God.
so. Yeah.
But they make it sound worse than
I
Adams.
mean, well, he's Republican. It is worse, right?
So what did he do? He looked at a porn site?
Not, yeah.
I say he says he didn't do it. So let's be clear on that.
Yeah.
He says I didn't do it.
Denial. They're suing.
But when I looked at it, I said, this is 20 or 30 years ago. I don't know. I mean, nobody in North Carolina looked at a porn site.
No. Can I tell you one thing too? Just because I've had a lot of
Oh,
employees.
geez.
Listen, I've had a lot of employees, and one of my hospitals, actually, it was the one in Pennsylvania. We actually had a team that would monitor everything the employees went on. And there was quite a few for pornography, but sometimes websites are set up. Like, say you're working the maternity unit and you wanted to look up if there's anything new for breastfeeding moms that you want to use for education. Breastfeeding, sometimes it triggered a pornography site. So our IT department had to go in and really fix the criteria or something. I don't know. But I remember that they were like, wow, we seem to have a lot of
kind of evidence. I mean, this is a long time ago.
Yeah,
I don't think they have that kind of, I don't think they have like the evidence they would have now. And I don't even know, I don't even have it right. I mean, they don't go into detail with what, is there something more to it? Than that?
I don't know,
And then
actually.
the second one,
Do you know anything about it?
So there's claims that he made all these comments on these message boards.
well, he did, they say he called himself a black Nazi. He called himself a black Nazi. They say he did that.
Is he black?
Yes.
Black man. So, or they claim that this person, like,
It's very impressive.
they're an anonymous, user.
Yeah.
Calling himself a black Nazi on I guess, porn sites. I don't even know specifically what kind of sites they are. He also apparently, these are all accusations that he's denying. Talks about wanting slavery back and wishing he owned a couple of slaves.
Could he? I mean, could he? Well, he says he didn't do it, so that ends it. But could he have been kidding? I mean, stupidly. He must have been about 20 years old.
Well, again, and this goes into if
Could he have been joking around? Stupidly joking around.
site.
What do you think?
What are we talking about? So there's this term known as kink shaming.
Oh, you want to get involved in the electoral college conversation?
And the left loves to talk about that. Kink shaming, where people have their own personal preferences.
I mean, I guess what I'm getting to is this. If these things are true, does this disqualify him from governor? Or could he have been just a jerky kid?
No, it shouldn't disqualify him. But even before this came out, right? He wasn't resonating with the people, I don't think.
Well,
no, let's talk about
he wasn't resonating with the establishment.
Oh, okay.
He was like 4 or 5 behind.
Yeah.
He wasn't out of it.
No, of course not. It's a typical case. I mean, look, it's similar to
the media loves the Democratic governor.
Yeah.
Because they have a Democratic governor in what is considered a red state. And I would think they would, no matter who ran, they were going to destroy him. Whether this is true or not is very questionable.
And look at the Judge Roy Moore situation in Alabama. I mean, they eviscerated him when those allegations came out. He ended up suing and winning. He won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against these
but too late.
Party operatives. It was too late for his election, but it's something I think that Mark, the lieutenant governor who's running for governor, something he should be bringing up as part
when I first heard him
on Judge Moore.
When I first heard him a year ago, I said, "Oh, that guy's going to win."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know him that well, but listening to him, he's not. He's. You know how you look at a
I
candidate,
think we should get him on the Rudy.
and some are impressive,
Mayor Live.
and some are impressive, and some aren't impressive. Right? Republicans even. Right? This guy's an impressive candidate. I mean, he's like.
Well, we have a special guest as we talk here about, and we'll take a quick break. But we have a special guest. We're going to do we'll do a quick commercial.
Well, maybe he can figure this out for us.
One of the biggest names in political polling. After this short commercial, we'll be joined by the one and the only Dick Morris.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Boy, do we have a Friday night treat for everyone this evening. It was with great pleasure, Mayor, Doctor, that we have joining us for a discussion on the latest polling, the one, the only, the great Dick Morris.
Thank you.
Hear us,
Thank
Dick.
you. Good to be
We
here.
can hear you very, very well. How are you, Dick?
I'm great. I'm doing really well. We're winning, so naturally I feel
Well,
good.
Your color looks beautiful.
You look great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What we want to do is we have some specific questions, and then we want you to just tell us, your thinking on your own. But we've been looking at the electoral map, and we're hung up on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states.
We
And
want your expertise.
we want your expertise on it. We're hung up on one out west, Nevada. We're pretty comfortable with Arizona. Good poll today or yesterday at 5 points or 6 points. You think that's solid, Dick?
Yes, it's New York Times CNN. It was last week. And what's most significant about it is not just that we're leading by 5 in Arizona, but that exact poll a month ago showed us behind by 5. So it went from 5 behind to 5 ahead with the same pollster. So I think that's pretty cool.
It went out.
Right. So, can you hear us, Dick?
Yes.
Now, what about Nevada right next to them? And also Kerry Lake. Why is Kerry Lake running behind?
Well, Nevada is its own situation. It's a very, very corrupt state. And if there's one state where you can't rely on the election people to give you a correct number, it's Nevada. But Trump's proposal of exempting a tax on tips, I think, is decisive there, and his proposal to end the income tax on overtime. And I think that that's going to carry Nevada for him by a pretty decent margin.
I thought so too. I've been looking at the polls there for about 8 months, and he's performed really well there. And I think maybe the overtime thing has calmed the unions down a little too.
Yeah, and also his saying that he's not going to tax Social Security benefits, I think, is significant. So I think he's on his way to winning Nevada.
Okay. So
By the
now
way,
we're going to go.
You got to pronounce it right. Easterners call it Nevada. In the West, they call it Nevada.
It's like Missouri and Missouri, right?
I bet you didn't carry it for that reason.
Okay. So now
Be careful.
here's another one that perplexes me, and that's North Carolina. Why are we why are we appear to be further ahead in Georgia than North Carolina?
Well, Georgia has been litigated so much, and it's been so contested by Stacey Abrams, the radical left candidate, and the fraud of 2020 has been so exposed there that you investigated and you helped out, that I think Georgia's kind of shell shocked at this point, and I think it's creating its own momentum. In Georgia, we've gone from tied to 5 ahead. So I think very good things about Georgia.
No,
Now,
it breaks up. It stops. I hear it just stop.
can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. Yep. Yep.
Okay. And now North Carolina is different. We never carried North Carolina by a lot. We carried it by 1 point last time, and we're now 2
Yeah.
points
Yeah.
ahead. And disturbingly, in the early voting is like 50% Democrat and 10% Republican. So I'm
Even
concerned.
now?
What right now? Last night.
Now? Right now? Oh, wow.
Last night. So I'm going to speak to Trump about that. I was concerned when we were behind in Pennsylvania by about 20 points on the first day's early voting. I spoke to President Trump, and he talked about it and moved us up to a tie, which is where it should be. So North
It'd
Carolina
be remarkable.
needs a little mending, but we'll be okay. We'll carry that state.
When you consider that on election day, we carried Pennsylvania by a landslide on the vote. Remember, 750, 800,000. If we even get to 40% on the mail-in ballots, we should be in great shape.
Yeah, I think we're going to carry Pennsylvania. That's the iffiest of the states, but I think we're going to do fine. You got to bear in mind on all of this that in 2016 and 2020, no poll by anybody anywhere showed us winning the popular vote. It was always Hillary, and then it was always Biden. And despite that, we won a whole bunch of states. And I believe that, and in this cycle, the Democrats are ahead in some of the popular vote polls, but we're ahead in most of them. If we even barely carry the popular electoral vote, we'll win the Electoral College by 4 or 5 points. It'll be a landslide. Hillary won
I
the
think we can
popular
lose
vote.
it.
Hillary won the popular vote by 2.6%, and she lost the Electoral College by a massive amount.
So you think even if we lose the popular vote, I do too, by 2 or 3, maybe even 4%, we could squeak it out.
Yes, but I think we're going to carry the popular vote, and I think we're going to win by a great deal.
Now, I look at my state, your state, New York. I don't think we're going to win it, but the popular vote gets determined largely by New York and California, right? If you took them out, we just took them out of the last election. Would we have won the popular vote?
Yes, easily.
Yeah,
easily.
So 2 states decided, and New York would be a lot closer.
Yeah, California is a lost cause, but New York's not, because of you, and because of the base you brought build up, and the common sense of New Yorkers. And I think that the faddish sort of latest left coast idea, I don't think is going to play in New York. And I think there's a fair chance that we do well. I think we're going to carry the suburbs. We're going to carry Nassau and Suffolk County, and probably some of the upstate counties, Rockland, Putnam, and the others. And I think we've got a shot in New
That's
York.
where we used to win.
Yeah,
that's the way Rockefeller won. That's the way Pataki won.
Yeah.
They got killed in New York,
let's
and
understand.
then they made it up in the suburbs and upstate.
Let's understand the fundamental reason that New York has become a solidly blue state is depopulation. These upstate cities have lost half or more of their population. Utica, I think, is down to under 100,000 people. Rochester is about 180, used to be at about 500. And this
A very
depopulation,
vital city too at one time.
the depopulation of these cities, almost entirely due to the ban on fracking. Pennsylvania, they're thriving. Same cities in New York, they're dying. And it's all Cuomo banning and now Hochul banning fracking.
When my son was running for governor in the primary, we went up to the summit point of the fracking. What do they call it? I forgot what they call it, but they have water. Water comes out there.
Yeah.
Water comes out. The Marcellus Shale.
Marcellus Shale.
Yes.
And
Right.
the water.
Drink the water from it.
I drank the water.
Good.
I filled
Well,
up a whole thing of water, and I did a thing online drinking the water,
yeah.
and
Well, it's
because
entirely
He's
witchcraft.
I had
active now.
I had checked. It's perfectly pure water.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
The rap
In
on
fact, it's
fracking,
better than most water.
the rap on fracking is entirely witchcraft. It's right out of the Salem witch trials. It has no basis in reality.
But you're right.
When you
I mean,
frack,
I
you go down 2,000 or 3,000 feet and you horizontally drill. Water, you go down 100 feet, and there's no way for the water, for the oil or the gas to get through the rock between 5,000 and 100 feet. That's why you frack.
yeah, they've been doing it in Texas for 40 years with
Yeah.
a minimum of problems and nothing fatal.
And
And
it's important.
yeah, it's absurd,
It's
and
important to bear
it
in
would
mind.
change. You know, Syracuse is. I read somewhere that Syracuse is one of the poorest cities in the country.
Yeah, it's
Just New York
important to
used to
bear
be a
in
very
mind,
title.
Ricky, that fracking uh, provided that fracking used to provide 8% of the U.S. oil production. Now it provides 15%. So our entire edge in oil is because of fracking. And when she says she's going to eliminate fracking, it's tantamount to saying I'm not going to drill for oil. And I don't know how Harris thinks we're going to get to work, but it's going to be would be a tremendous challenge.
Somebody thinks for her.
Yeah.
Now, the last one that I have, the last two are Michigan and Wisconsin.
Well, Michigan, I feel pretty good about. The auto workers issue, the EV issue, I think is going to do well for us there. And Michigan will always be very close, but I think we're going to be okay. Wisconsin is different. Wisconsin has a heritage of crazy liberalism. That's where La Follette comes from back in the 20s. It's a crazy state. It's very liberal. The Democratic Farmer Labor Party, which was Humphrey's party, controls it. And I think it'll be very hard to win Wisconsin. But I do think we've got a pretty good shot in Michigan.
You figure Minnesota is gone because of Comrade
Yeah.
Walz?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. He should be gone.
How
The
they
issue-
elected that guy 30 trips to China teaching there.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
And
what they did in the pandemic. He set up a hotline you could tell on your neighbor. He would. He actually had parameters, and I'm kind of making up this number, but it was something like on Thanksgiving you could have 6
Yeah, we had people on
people.
from Minnesota.
Yeah,
Describe this.
And on Christmas you could have 8. But
Yeah.
if you went up it, your neighbor could call the hotline.
They were
and
encouraged
you know,
to
he
rat
married on
out,
the,
you know,
he
the way
married on the
Soros
anniversary
Jewish
of
people
Tiananmen
during the war.
Square. He got married
Yeah,
on
Tiananmen
the
Square.
anniversary
Yeah,
of
yeah,
Tiananmen
that's just.
Square. Yeah. We have not
But
had a
30 times
Manchurian
teaching
candidate.
there, you go back 30 times teaching there, you got to teach what they want you to teach, or they'll kill you.
You can't make money taking tourists to there or students without the Communist Party's approval. So we have never had a Manchurian candidate, but I'm afraid that Waltz will be that.
Yeah, wow. Well, so tell us now.
I have a question for Dick. Right now on our electoral map, we have Ohio as leaning Republican. What's
No.
your thoughts? Do you think they're a
Ohio
solid
is-
red? Would
Yeah,
you
Ohio
leave it
is solid.
leaning?
Solid. Ohio and Florida, which used to be the 2 swing states in the country, are now solidly red.
And I'm feeling really good about Georgia.
Yeah, you should.
I mean,
The way
I
I look
also
at
think
it
making
now-
peace with Kemp helped to, you know,
The way I look at
Party
it now
United.
is that I think we're going to get. I have it at we're 20 electoral votes short of winning because we're going to carry Georgia, we're going to carry Arizona, we're going to carry North Carolina, but we don't yet know about Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin. And those states could go either way, although I think we're going to win them. If we did not win any of those 3 states and we won the others, we'd be 20 electoral votes shy of a victory. So any one of those other 3 states would probably, any 2, would be enough for us to win. But when you put all this into perspective, the fact that in the polls of 16 and 20, we never won the popular vote, and now we're winning the popular vote in more than half of the polls, we're going to kick ourselves in the morning and say how dumb we were for not understanding the landslide that was being built.
And I do think, and I think this is pretty safe prediction, the longer she runs,
Yes.
the worse it becomes. And that's been a history. And you can see
Well-
why, because they try really hard on the crooked media to cover it up, but then people are exposed to listening to her. And unless you're really dense, you realize you're listening to
A vapid.
at least a very phony person.
Yeah.
And maybe you see the reason why she failed the bar exam.
Oh, she did? I did
Yeah.
not know that. Really.
Well, I remind people of that every day because
Once
I'm
or more.
disbarred and I passed the bar exam.
Once or more.
You shouldn't be disbarred, Mayor Giuliani.
I'm sorry, really, did she fail it once or more often?
She failed it once. I think
Yeah.
Willie Brown helped on the second
I
round.
know.
Yeah, right.
I think Willie worked. Yeah, he was
Okay.
he was the most powerful guy. Well, before he was mayor, he was really even more powerful in the legislature. He was like the king of the legislature.
The other one who failed the bar exam, of course, is our old friend Hillary Clinton.
Oh, cool.
Hillary, of course, yeah, and she look at what she accomplished.
Yeah, right.
Isn't Hillary your best friend?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Hillary. I don't tell
Even
this
when
to
Dick,
everybody,
even
but
when Dick was working for Democrats and Republicans, Hillary, Dick worked on my '97 landslide. That's because of Dick. But that's right at the time that the whole situation with Clinton. I mean, you saved Clinton.
yeah, I did. The fact of I don't tell people this, but every Christmas I get a card from Hillary, but it has white powder on it, so I don't open it.
Well, you should just be lucky you're alive.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
That's right.
Dick, it's a pleasure.
It's great.
Your book is fabulous.
Thank you.
It's a great explanation of where we are right now.
Yep.
I assume people can get it on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's called The Return. Donald Trump, the coming landslide victory for Donald Trump. It's great.
I mean, it'll give you a real perspective on what we're talking about. But thank you very much, Dick. It's been a real pleasure.
And
We'll do it
Marianne,
again. God bless you, and thank you
Bye-bye.
for saving our republic, and helping
Thank you.
to.
Thank you.
Well, what a great interview and such great insight. Mayor, do we want to go live? We have our Michigan correspondent, Stephen, outside. He's outside. We're going to bring Stephen on now. We have Stephen. Stephen, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. How you doing?
We're doing great, Stephen. How are you doing? So, you're outside the rally?
Yes, sir. I am outside of the. Well, it was a town hall, but it would have fooled me. It was definitely rally energy out here, and we were grounded for a little bit. So there's kind of a little tailgate party going on in the parking lot. Oh yeah, you hear him. Well, no. So I don't know. Did you get any of the footage of the rally?
Did we get any of the footage of the rally, Ted?
Yes, we did.
Should we play a little?
Well, let me ask you a
I
question.
just want to ask him a couple questions here.
Stephen, how are you?
Oh, doing well. Oh my gosh, it was a packed house here, and we actually had a tailgate party beforehand, and I guess a little one after, and it was fiery. It was
And
a fiery rally.
As a town hall, did the people get to ask questions?
Yeah, there were a lot of questions. So some of the questions, a lot of them came from either auto workers or people who were laid off recently, or their jobs are being sent somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
People
So,
being-
but yeah, and Trump, you know what? He answered substantively, and I don't think we could see anything close to that coming out of Kamala.
What about the people in the parking lot? Would they like to talk to Mayor?
Oh yeah, they were excited. So hey guys, so these are the lessons. We, like I said, we were a little bit grounded from the motorcade, but we got a little party going on out here. Yeah, he's on. We're on with Mayor Giuliani. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if you can see the shirts here, but we got this was the theme of the evening. Auto workers for Trump.
For Trump.
All
That's
That's what we
right.
do. We're all done with this administration. The green new scam is gonna put me out of work. I build axles for them.
Yeah, this man that I'm with right now, he builds axles, and actually that was definitely kind of the common theme of the night. Like it was people who build things, like the American dream, and how Democrat policies are making that nearly impossible here in the state of Michigan, which is going to be very important for us.
Approximately how many people were allowed in the town hall?
I believe they said the capacity was at 3,000. I know it was more than that.
Wow,
A lot of people were outside. A lot of people were outside waiting. We filled the place up for sure, and it was definitely at capacity or more. You know.
And what was the? Can you tell us the highlight of it?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
No,
Well, I think it was when he took questions from some of these auto workers, and actually, you know what? The highlight would have been the response from the crowd. I haven't felt like that in a long time. Like with that high energy, it was like a rock concert basically, and that filled me with energy, and I was dancing the whole time, and everyone was dancing, and
I think
got footage of the
from the New York, from the rally in Nassau County on, they've really been growing in intensity and enthusiasm. It just feels that way. It's like and he's doing a lot of them, a lot more than he was doing before.
We're showing our audience, Stephen, the footage you sent previously, and the crowd looks happy, enthusiastic. A lot of people.
Oh yeah. It was a party. It was an absolute party. I feel that the internet was so bad. I tried to go live from the inside the rally, but that was just not happening. There was just so much going on.
And could they hear outside? Did they broadcast it outside?
I don't know. I was front and center. I couldn't tell you what they were seeing outside, but when I got in, the line was very long. It was very long. But so I went out to the line for a little bit and talked to the people, and it was just so much more love than you can find. Like we were at the DNC, remember? And it was so much more love than we found out there.
No, the DNC was mean, really mean. Everybody was really mean.
Mm-hmm. Even when I was on incognito mode without a Trump hat on or anything, people were mean at the DNC. Here, everyone's like loving each other. I got more phone numbers than like I ever have, so we had a good time today.
Well, it looks good, Stephen. Where are you exactly?
I am in Macomb County. I'm at the Macomb Community College at the what do they call it? Sports and Expo Center, right in the heart of our manufacturing center here in Michigan.
You know where that is, Tim?
And where is it in relation to Detroit?
We are a little bit north-ish of Detroit. And a lot of our like manufacturing, this is the home of the Reagan Democrat, as they say. And it's the swing. It's actually one of the biggest bellwethers in the country because as Macomb goes, that often is how the country goes.
Where is it in relation to Dearborn, the community for which we're selling out Israel? They are.
We're probably about 10, 15 minutes from Dearborn. Let me ask you this. How far are we from Dearborn?
94 is right there. Half an hour at the most.
Half hour at the most, but that's probably with traffic. So, pretty close. Everything in Michigan's going to be about 30 minutes away,
What about the county with the Islamic mayor that you introduced us to the deputy mayor the other night? And
yeah, he was here. He was there. And actually, they want me to come into their office and talk to them. They're getting brought into the fold hard, and they were there tonight.
That would have been cool.
Actually, basically everyone that was at that event last night was here tonight, like having a ball, just keeping the party going.
Well, go in and talk to them. We would go out there and interview them.
Oh yeah, no, I want to. They want to make it happen. So I told them, and they said, yeah, come on in anytime. So I'm gonna go into the office and make it happen, and I'm gonna get some of that good food they got down there too.
Yeah, well, I think Dick Morris just reaffirmed that it's a key state. So he doesn't. We were just having a conversation about the electoral vote, and I mean, he thinks that Michigan is going to go our way, but he's not certain. He feels
So
more
that's
Pennsylvania.
my feeling. My feeling is that it's ours to lose in Michigan.
And you certainly gave us a lot of hope.
Good. Well, I have a lot of hope, and it's like really the broad coalition that's giving me all this hope. It's a team effort, and the team is like really big. And we got a lot of good patriots who are stepping up this time around.
God bless you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Hey,
see you soon.
Always a pleasure. What's that?
Oh,
what's that?
Where's your gimbal?
I'm using it right now. It's in my hand.
Of course he is. It's very.
Yeah, look at how much I can run around, and it's not even shaky.
Yep. Thank you, Steve.
You have it on a tripod?
Oh, don't answer.
No, I'm holding it. I'm holding it.
All right.
Well,
take care.
Back in with Steven.
Steven Schumacher.
That was Steven Schumacher. He's kind of become our Michigan correspondent by default.
Let's take one look at the map now. We can show them what we came up with. We never asked him about New Hampshire, but we have our New Hampshire expert here.
But you know what?
I left it neutral.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I want it to be red. Everybody I talk to seems to want it red, but there are some hate that's come into my state that really don't believe in the people. Like they think they need welfare or they need a handout and a bigger government.
Boy.
We don't believe that. We believe in the human spirit.
Traditional New Hampshire resident.
Oh God Almighty!
Ones I meet. I mean, maybe because
we're hardworking people.
And what a Republican she is.
Yeah, yeah.
She's dying to have. I keep telling President Trump he has to have her food.
Up in the North Country, where I was CEO of a hospital up in the North Country, the people, their work ethic is exemplary. You could be 70 years old. You volunteer for a program in your little town. You work part-time in the hospital, plus you're working on your farm. I mean, these people are the salt of the earth, and they're still, after a hard day of work, if your neighbor needed help, they're right there for their neighbor.
Well, do we get any? You have any comments on the electoral map? Anybody contributing comments?
Oh, yeah. So we've been getting comments
where they disagree or agree or.
Yeah, we'll have to go back. We had a comment about Northern Virginia, which we never brought up on the map. Or
I didn't bring up Virginia because I think there's a chance with Virginia.
So do you think there should be a toss-up then?
Well, I would think that we do have it leaning. We don't have it
leaning blue instead of a toss-up.
Blue. They had it leaning blue.
Yeah.
The 270 people that they had it.
Oh dear Lord!
It that way.
With our changes, we're put the.
Oh yeah, that leaves Virginia.
301.
It still leaves Virginia and Wisconsin, Minnesota, and New Mexico. Minnesota, I guess you'd have to say he doesn't have a chance in. But he has a chance in Virginia. He has a chance in Wisconsin. I'm not sure I agree with Dick on Wisconsin. And New Mexico, I do agree. We'll stay Dem.
It's too bad. I put together 4 hospitals in New Mexico. So wherever I go, I fall in love with the people. And I certainly fell in love with the New Mexico people.
Dick seems much more confident about North Carolina than I do.
Yeah.
I'm worried about North Carolina.
I'm very worried about North Carolina. And I wish I wasn't.
And it's because Charlotte's one of the faster growing cities in America. And so, they've brought a lot of younger people the past 15, 20 years. It's kind of become.
I'm sure I don't think she's going to rack up with the younger people. I really don't.
I don't either. And that's where I think historically, did Obama win North Carolina?
He did.
He did. So, right, young people. So if you really think about it,
like Austin, Texas, yeah.
but with someone like Kamala, young people are young, but they're not necessarily stupid, right? I mean,
No, I don't think she connects with young people. I really don't.
She tries. But she says the right words.
I don't think she connects with anybody. I don't think she connects with anybody. I don't think I mean, very simply, she's not a good politician.
She's not
exactly.
I don't know if she's a good person.
Well, she isn't a good.
She's like fixated on killing children.
It's weird.
It's fixated on that subject.
I don't think somebody told her to be. That's a good issue. Killing children is a good issue because everybody doesn't pay attention. Everybody pays attention to the conservative extreme, right? Ban abortion, but they don't pay attention to the more prevalent Democrat extreme, which is kill babies.
Up until and after they give birth.
7, 8, and 9 months, I'm sorry, are babies. And when Trump says they've executed babies, they did it in Minnesota. And then they stopped reporting it.
Yeah.
And here's how they did it, or at least purportedly did it. Who knows? They may have sucked them up after they were born. They let them die. They changed the rules. Walz, who was a murderer, Walz and the left-wing Minnesota legislature used to have a rule that if an abortion fails and the baby's born, you have to take every measure to save the baby's life. They changed it to you just have to give the baby care.
Yeah.
And care means let it lay there.
Yeah.
You don't do anything for it. It's like if a puppy is born and you just let it lay there. What's going to happen to the puppy? The puppy's going to die. Well, that's what happens. They let the baby die. Now they had to report 5 of them the first year that Walz was governor.
I think it was 8.
And now they stopped reporting.
Yeah.
So I imagine the number, when people stop reporting, they stop reporting because the information will be harmful to them.
Yeah. Yeah. But thank you for inviting me
for
your conversation. It was really a lot of fun.
More views we can get, the more, the better.
Yeah.
And so next week we'll have another expert with us. And next week, I think on Thursday or maybe earlier, we'll do a congressional review because that's important. We'll start with the Senate because it's easier, it's smaller, and then we'll do the House and give you some ideas on how that's going to go and where the key races are. I want you to know as much as possible because I'm counting on you to go out and get votes for us. I'm counting on everyone that's listening to not just sit back and say, oh, we have to save our country, but to save it. You all have friends. I bet you're all social people. You have friends, you have relatives. You probably have some that disagree with you. You got a lot that agree with you. And maybe you can win some over. Also, the ones, I believe we have enough votes out there in America to win a landslide.
Yes.
Question is, are we going to get them out? And they have enough to win if we don't do our job. We're a very closely divided country. So it is a turnout situation. And they cheat. So we have to work harder than they do because they cheat. And please understand, I tell you that from the bottom of my heart. I've known that they cheated in my first election for mayor. They cheated in the 2 elections I won, even the one I won by a landslide. They cheated. They knew they couldn't win, but they had to practice.
Mm-hmm.
As the mayor talks here, comment below. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I like to do this once in a while. We're going to put these on the screen, but it helps us to get to know where our audience is tuning in from. City and state.
So I'm
going to run.
Okay, but let me just say this one thing because we're going to finish. There's a free speech issue, and I was reading about this. A very, very good article about this in the new Epic Times, and they would say that the left wing communists would say, and the Orwellian thinking. If I say they cheat on elections, I'm degrading American elections. I'm degrading democracy. But they never consider, maybe I'm right. Maybe I know things they don't know. Or maybe I'm entitled to my opinion. And if there is cheating, then it's a degradation of democracy to allow that cheating to go on. And you can't tell me they don't cheat when they won't turn in the data on the illegal aliens that are registered. They had a hearing in Congress, and the Democratic states will not, and there's every indication that somewhere between 20 and 27% of these criminals that came in are registered to vote. We know they brought them in to do that.
Specifically.
New York passed a law allowing non-citizens to vote, even though it violates the state constitution. They are dying to let them in. A stupid Democrat congressperson in New York said, well, I don't like this new group of illegal immigrants. They seem to be a lot more criminals, but I need them I need the numbers for my redistricting.
Yeah.
Because they count the illegals. Even if they can't get them to vote, they'll end up with a Democrat Congress with it. And they don't give a damn that they rape and murder and they're destroying parts of New York. They're destroying parts of Chicago. May have a gang war.
Mm.
The gangbangers there aren't going to accept this. Well, we've had a very busy week. I think I'm going to sleep all weekend, and we're going to be back on Monday on first on Frank's speech at 7, and then here on America's Mayor Live, and Dr.
on
Maria.
Newsmax 2 and X.
And Dr. Maria is going to be on Frank's speech. She had a great two shows this week. Fabulous.
I'm on Tuesday and Thursdays, 3 p.m., but you can actually see it anytime. But it's a little difficult to get to. You can do it a number of ways. And same thing with the mayor's show on Frank's speech. You can go to Rumble, which we do prefer Rumble over YouTube because YouTube still censors. Go to Rumble, Frank's Speech Lindell TV channel, and search for the Dr. Maria show or the Rudy Giuliani show.
And she's a little bit different kind of show. I mean, there are politics, but she'll also do really some very interesting social commentary.
And the other way
interesting
is the Frank Speech app, where you can look up shows. And then the last way, I always forget this. There's Rumble, the app. There is another way.
Some cable carry. Networks carry us.
Networks in the Midwest do carry the show.
Google your local or DuckDuckGo.
Don't use Google.
DuckDuckGo and find out if Frank's speech is carried in your neck of the woods.
There you go.
Want to catch Dr. Maria, Mayor Giuliani, and all the other great hosts on FSBN.
Yes.
And we're very soon calling it Vocal. FSBN.
So I have one last little piece of information. Luzerne County.
Okay, can I?
In Pennsylvania has gone Republican. It's always been Democrat. Okay, so that's a good sign. And Florida now has 1 million more Republicans than Democrats. Okay, so God bless. Please pray for the people of Israel. They're being double-crossed by the current regime that hopefully will be out of power shortly. Pray for the people of Ukraine who are being double-crossed by that regime who corrupted Ukraine and their own corrupt leaders. It's not when I talk about corruption in Ukraine, please understand. I'm talking about Zelensky and all the corrupt information that he has covered up, and his lack of doing anything about the oligarchs who, there's no doubt, are stealing the money. The question is, how much are they stealing? And we don't know, because Biden, who is an expert on corruption in Ukraine, and his family made millions there based on his influence, fixing a case, they're not going to let you know. They're not going to go tell you that they take a third of the money or they get kickbacks but they do. They're not going to let that kind of money come in there and not grab some of it. You're going to say, well, they're patriots. And somehow, even Kolomoisky was a hero of the 14 revolution or invasion. Truly a hero. He went out and fought for his town. He's also a massive thief. Somehow they square it. I mean, guys in the mafia used to do that too. So we'll see you on Monday, maybe on the weekend. We'll see. And God bless America.
Teaches school. Some folks say it isn't cool, but she says the pledge of allegiance. say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows, only time.
Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,